So today we get in, and it says, how can you determine if two shapes are similar by looking at the rule and producing a specific producing specific coordinates for the image? Remember, a coordinate, right, looks like this, with the x part first, the y second, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to use your lab sheet here. Okay, we're going to give you about 20 minutes to do this. So it says Marta tries several rules for transforming mug into different sizes. At first glance, all the new characters look like mug. They look like they might be mathematically similar to mug. Some of the new characters are quite different, however. They are not mathematically similar to mug. So if you notice on your sheet that I attached, right? Let me just borrow this for a second, Mason. You got coordinates for mug, right? And you obviously got like 4 parts to them. And then you look at the other columns and you got zug, lug, bug, and glug. Okay? A lot of thought went into these names. So a lot of the mug pictures, right, are already there. And I will put him up here. Let me see here. I know I have him somewhere. I got a picture of him. That's mug. Okay? Alright, so that's mug. So what you're going to do is you see the coordinates for mug, right? So if you noticed on zug, it says you take x and multiply it by 2 and y and multiply it by 2. Well, for point A, 0, 1, well, if I take 0, multiply it by 2, what is that? But then if I take y and multiply it by 2, well, y was 1, right? So 2 times 1 is... So that's where the new coordinate for zug would be. And you would begin designing that. So there's different rules for zug, for lug, for bug, and for glug. Okay? And those 4 are the points you're going to put over here on this one. Okay? So it's going to take some time. So what you might want to do is maybe kind of with your groups is divide and conquer, so to speak. Is have each one do a figure, and then maybe like with you guys, a team of 3, like maybe all 3 of you do the last one together. But that will help you. All right, so folks. Shh. So now that you've seen mug, you're gonna draw zug, lug, bug, and glug, and you're gonna use that rule and kind of tell me in part C. Then we're gonna kind of talk about your answers once you are finished. All right. So I'm gonna leave mug up there. We're gonna pause the video, and we're gonna give you guys some time to plot all those points, find your rules, and work. So go ahead and begin. All right, so after you drew all these, there are your rules, right? So what do you notice about zug? They're what? Yeah. Yeah, he looks a lot like mug, right? Pretty similar. Yeah, maybe a little wider because remember mug goes all the way to 8 here, where zug goes all the way to 16. But I would say they're similar, right? Would you agree? What about lug? Aiden? Well, he's a little wider, right? A lot wider. It goes to 24 from 8, right? That's 3 times as wide, and he's a lot shorter, right? Actually, he might be he's the same height. He's just wider. Look at bug. What about bug? Anthony. Yeah, he's about double the size. Similar though, right? Just a little wider and a little taller. What about glug? He's tall. Yeah, he's just tall and skinny, right? So you see how we stretched it. Look how the Y's tripled Right? You see how it stretches them when the y's in both of them change as opposed to just one changed? All right, so let's go back to our thing down here. Let's make some comparisons. All right, so we said, it says compare the characters to Mug, which are imposters, which means not members of the Wump family. So who did we say was similar? Zug and Bug. Right. So those guys are Wumps. Remember, they're the Wump family because they're similar. So the two guys that aren't similar are Lug and Glug. So they're the imposters because they're not similar. All right. So what things are about the same as Mug and the others? What kind of things did they have the same thing of? Okay, they had about the same body, right? Didn't they have the same mouth too? They all had a rectangular mouth. What shape was the nose? Yep, they all had a triangle nose. And they had some, not all, but some of the angles were the same. Not all. Some angles changed. But they had some similar angles. Okay? Now again, what things were different? Well, obviously if they had some angles were the same, they had a lot of different angles, right? Okay? So like basically from Mug compared to Zug, right? The lengths were doubled. Right? And what about from Bug? Mug to Bug, it was tripled. And then we also talked about that Lug. Lug was wider, right? He was wider by 3 times. Same height, but he was wider. And then Glug was taller. And he was taller by 3 times. So if we take a second to look on the back, so how do we summarize up all this? Spent a lot of time graphing coordinates. So if the coefficients of both x and y coordinates of the rule are the same, the figure is similar. And when we say coefficients, this word right here. So we have 3x. That means that's the number, that's the word for the number out in front of the x. Coefficient. Now remember, because we had a 2x and a 2y and a 3x and a 3y, right? That just doubled the size or tripled the size, right? Remember when one of them was an x or a y and the other one went to a 2 or a 3? That stretched it or grew it taller or wider, right? So when the coefficients are different, the figure will change more in one direction than the other, which means the figures are not similar. All right. The homework I gave you is on that worksheet I handed out, right? Did you see the homework? It's parts. It's on page 36 is the bookwork, but A through E, and this is the stuff that the graphs that you can put everything on. So that's what we're going to do tomorrow. Yes.